There's a silence you can't escape. It grows louder the more you ignore it. It's the sound of opportunities slipping through your fingers, the sound of your inaction, your hesitation. You think staying silent, doing nothing, keeps you safe, but that silence, that's your enemy. It's destroying you from the inside out, and you don't even realize it. Because sometimes the loudest revenge isn't what you say, it's what you don't. People tell you that silence is golden, that by not reacting, by staying quiet, you're somehow winning. But they're wrong. They don't understand what's really happening behind those moments of stillness. They don't hear the ticking clock that gets louder every second you do nothing. The more you retreat into silence, the more it consumes you. You think by doing nothing, you're protecting yourself, keeping yourself from failure, from embarrassment, from judgment. But in reality, you're letting life pass you by. Each time you stay quiet, each time you hold back, you allow the world to move on without you. The silence becomes a barrier, a wall you build around yourself, brick by brick, until you're trapped. But here's the catch: you've built that wall so well, so high, that no one even notices you anymore. And isn't that the most painful part? Not that they're out there winning, but that they don't even care that you're not part of the fight. You're invisible. That silence you thought would protect you is now the very thing that's destroying you. While you sit there in your silence, the world moves on. Opportunities are taken, risks are embraced by those who dared to step forward. They don't care about your silence. They're too busy living, too busy fighting for what they want. And what are you doing? Watching. Watching as time passes, as doors close. But there's something about doing nothing that slowly eats away at you. It's not just about missing out. It's about becoming a shadow of yourself. Every time you choose silence, you're feeding the doubt inside you. Every time you stay still, you teach yourself that it's okay to be less than what you could be. The world doesn't wait for you to speak up. It doesn't wait for you to gather your courage or figure things out. It keeps moving, faster and faster, leaving you in the dust. And the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to find your voice again. You start to wonder, how long before the silence swallows you whole? Let's get real. Doing nothing isn't a strategy. It's surrender. It's watching your own potential fade, moment by moment. You think staying silent means staying safe, but what it really means is that you're allowing life to destroy you in the most agonizing way possible, slowly, quietly, and without mercy. Look around you. The people who've achieved something didn't do it by sitting in silence. They didn't wait for life to come to them. They went out and took it. They spoke up even when their voice shook. They acted even when they didn't know what would happen next. But you sit and you watch. You let the fear of failure, of rejection, of pain keep you locked in your own head. But here's the brutal truth. Inaction is more dangerous than failure. Because while failure teaches you something, inaction teaches you nothing but regret. There's a cost to doing nothing, a price that you're already paying. You don't see it immediately, it's subtle. It creeps in slowly, quietly. First, it's the missed opportunity. Then it's the growing distance between you and the life you once dreamed of. The longer you sit in your silence, the further away you get from that version of yourself who was willing to fight. You lose your edge. You lose your fire. You become numb to the world around you, numb to your own potential. And worst of all, you become numb to yourself. You stop believing in the power you once had. You start convincing yourself that this is your place on the sidelines, in the background, fading into nothingness. The silence you thought would shield you becomes the weapon that destroys you. Here's the thing about revenge: it doesn't always look like you think it will. It doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be chaotic. Sometimes the most powerful form of revenge is the silence you've weaponized, the silence that speaks for you when words aren't enough. But this silence, it's not the silence of inaction. No, this silence is intentional. It's focused. It's the silence that comes when you no longer need to explain yourself to the world, when you've decided that your actions will speak for you, that your success will do the talking. You're not silent because you're afraid. You're silent because you're in control. You're silent because you know that the best kind of revenge isn't about lashing out, it's about outlasting them. It's about showing them, through your quiet strength, that their words, their doubts, their underestimation of you mean nothing. Because you don't need to scream to be heard. Your silence says everything. Revenge doesn't have to be a destructive force. It doesn't have to burn everything down in its path. True revenge is more patient than that. It's waiting, watching, and striking when they least expect it, not with words, but with your actions, with your silence that says, I'm still here. I'm still standing. They wanted you to react. They wanted you to fight on their terms, to stoop to their level. But by staying silent, by refusing to give them what they wanted, you've already won. Your silence is the loudest sound they'll ever hear. And while they're waiting for you to break, to falter, you're growing stronger. You're preparing for your moment. And when that moment comes, when your silence has spoken louder than any word ever could, they'll realize that you were never the one who was weak. You were the one who had the strength to endure. The one who knew that silence can be the most devastating form of revenge. Now it's time to break that silence, not with words, but with action. Because the truth is, silence is only powerful if it's backed by what you do next. Sitting in silence, doing nothing, will destroy you. But silence with purpose, silence with action behind it, that's how you rise. Don't let the fear of failure or judgment hold you in that quiet place any longer. Take your silence and turn it into strength. Let your actions be your voice. Let your success be your revenge. Because when you move in silence, when you act without needing to explain yourself, that's when you become unstoppable. Doing nothing, saying nothing, letting life pass you by, it's the slowest, most painful kind of destruction. But when you take control of that silence, when you use it to your advantage, you find a power you never knew you had. So, let them wait. Let them wonder what you're going to do next. Let your silence speak louder than any words could. And when the time comes, when you finally move, they'll see. They'll understand that the loudest revenge isn't what you said or did, it's what you didn't. Because silence, when wielded with purpose, is the loudest form of revenge. And doing nothing? It destroys you only if you let it. But if you choose to rise from the silence, that's when you become unstoppable. By the way, if you want to level up in life, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel.